the whole house.
Wow.
I mean, just terrible. Smoked the whole thing, and the ceilings was black. It's terrible. And that's something for us I was thinking about today. You know, Jay and I talked about this last week, and it was one of those things that we decided that, you know, we're not going to use propane for our heat. We're just not going to do it. It's dangerous, and we're just not going to do it. You know, you hear about up there a couple of weeks ago. There was a trailer blowing up, you know, and all that stuff going on, and we're just not going to do it. So I've adjusted it to use heaters that the trailer has, and add heat that's safe, and upgraded electric and done the appropriate things, and that's what we're going to do. You know, and matter of fact, I've got a guy coming out, Dave's RV, to do something that I need done because I can't get down there and get underneath to do it myself, and that aggravates the devil out of me. It does. It just drives me crazy. But, you know, if you can do it, you can do it. If you can't, you can't, and that's how it is, and you got to do your thing. So that's what I'm doing. So anyway, you know, in residential heat, it's anything that's infrared heat is going to be more efficient because it warms everything around you. You know, it's not just trying to warm the air. It's trying to warm everything around you. And so, you know, that's going to be your best bet if you can do that. A lot of people are using diesel heaters, and I've talked a little bit about that this past week, especially in RVs. And I didn't realize it, but they've been using diesel heaters in trucks, tractor-trailer trucks, for years and years and years. And, you know, when you think about a refrigerated truck that's hauling food, well, if it's in a trailer, if it's hauling food in a trailer during that time and it's refrigerated, well, when it's in wintertime, it's got to be heated. And they use diesel heat for that. And it'll heat those big old trailers up. So, you know, that's the only problem with diesel heat is it takes the danger of an explosion because diesel's not going to blow up on you. Now, if it don't light, you can get some smoke right fast. But, you know, hey, you didn't get blown to Thornhill. Wait till you see GFL's new logo. Yeah, Dean sent it to me day before yesterday. I'll send it to you. It's smoking. Smoking. It's really cool. And by the way, at the first of next month, he's going to be in there to visit with you. I said, well, I can put you on from the house. He said, no, I'm going to go stay with Skip. I said, well, I think that's what you are doing. Come on. I said, Skip loves see. He said, I like him. I said, well, he likes you. You know. Yeah, he's a good one. He is a good one. So we got to go. Oh, yeah. Candy, she's sweet. Good folks. You know, a couple of things we're going to talk about today. I got to thinking about this. Do you know that? Have you ever thought why some states make you put a license plate on the front and the back of your car? Yeah, well, they do. No. Do you know what states do that? I do. California, Colorado, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Iowa, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, and North Dakota. Pretty much. Well, and it said, so the article popped up, and so I was reading it yesterday, and it said that the reason for that was that the law enforcement back in the day, you had to put one on the front and one on the back, because that way you could, they needed to be able to identify you. That was the only way they had to identify you, if you were coming toward them or going behind them. And for those of y'all listening to me, you're not going to hear Skip right now, because we've had to make a little bit of a change, but you'll hear me, and we'll constant adjustment. It's just something all the time. But if you go to 1055 mix1055.com or talk1063.com, you can hear both of us. And you can watch us on Facebook. Turn the sound down. They're like we used to do with John Ward. They say you can do it with Mike Keith, but I just do it with John Ward. We all did that. We turned the UT game on, turned the TV off, volume down, off. Turn it up on John Moore, WNOX, WIVK. Come on, brother. Bring it. Those were the day. That's how you did it. So, a lot of states don't do it because it's a lot more cost. They save millions of dollars because they're not producing double license plates and all that kind of stuff, which they're just going to pass on to you anyway. But that's the reasoning. They make you put it on the front and the back, and still do. Now, some states said, and I didn't get this, but some states said that you can't get. They got a number of complaints because people were like they say it makes the front of their car look bad. And these newer cars, I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm just glad I don't have to pay another fee. Ron, good morning, brother. Good to see you. My computer's yelling at me all kind of. Active audio input device was unplugged. Please check your audio settings. Well, I checked them. So, I don't know. Morning, brother Ron. If y'all want to hear Skip, which you should, go to mix1055.com or talk1063.com. That's all we're going to say about that. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I got one on the back of my trailer. I don't know. I kind of worried about that because I've got that on the back, and then my generators are mounted on the back, and they're mounted on either side, not in the middle. And it does. It covers the license plate, and you got to look for that blinker. Of course, when I'm coming over, brother. I give a hand signal and swerve, baby. Hey, I learned. They'll let you go. They'll make you miss your exit. Yeah, they just look at you. Why? Lay it on me. Well, it's hard to sing with that, along with the radio, with that thing dangling in your lips. I was thinking about some of the stuff that I ate as a kid and as an adult. And now that I'm in this part of the world in Southwest Texas, and we're moving around. We're in different cities, and we're in Marfa and Marathon, and all over the place. Fort Davis and Stockton and Valentine, and I mean, there's a lot of different places down here, and a lot of stuff to do and see. Man, there's so much stuff to do and see. It's crazy. But I was thinking about. I had never, and I told Jay this, but because you were gone. I'd never eaten huevos rancheros. So we got a restaurant here we really like, and it's a Mexican family that owns it, a Hispanic family, and the husband does the cooking, the wife and the nieces do the table waiting, and they're fantastic. Now this guy's like, he's every bit of 6'3", probably 6'4". Got that apron on, bringing stuff out. Come by over to the table, old school. Everything okay? She said, here. She waved him from the kitchen. I want you to meet my husband. Everything okay? I says, fabulous. Shook his hand. And I told him last week, I got big hands. I felt like a little child in that big old mitt that he reached down. And it wasn't, and I told him, man, he can cook. I ain't lying. That man can cook. But I'll tell you this, not only can he cook, them some post-driving hands. Felt like you was rubbing sandpaper when you washed his hand. I thought he's going to break every bone and every finger I got. But he was gentle. He said, how is it? I said, it's fabulous, best I ever eat. And I really wasn't lying because it was. But no, really, truly, I mean, honestly, it really was. Then I got to thinking, I was looking yesterday, and this thing pops up on my computer, about after they talked about that ice thing and all that, and we don't talk about all that kind of stuff here because we just don't. That ain't in our repertoire. So anyway, so we was talking about that, and it hit me. You ever eat any mayonnaise biscuits? Oh, I grew up. Well, my mama made real lard biscuits every day, homemade from scratch, with a different kind of gravy every day, and meat and eggs and deliciousness. And my grandfather was checking his watch by 7 o'clock. If there wasn't some hot biscuits on the table, he wanted to know, Martha, what's the problem? You know? But he didn't quite say it like that. Because she could have whooped him. But I learned about mayonnaise biscuits. Mayonnaise biscuits are probably the most horrible thing you can eat in the country for your health. But they're so good. Oh, they're so good. We're going to take that first time out, and I'm going to go get me some coffee. And then, when we come back, I'm going to give you the mayonnaise biscuit recipe. And then we're going to also talk about the best toilet paper for not clogging up your toilet. Negative, Ghost Rider. They don't make such a beast. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, Skip. I don't know where you got it. I see how you think. I know what's going on. No, truly, that was the next article that popped up. There's a guy actually did a test. Oh, and names. Oh, we're going to name names. And we're going to blame it on him. Because he's a sucker that said it. We're going to talk about them all. That's right. That's what happens when you don't sponsor the program. No, I'm just kidding. That ain't right, is it? That's terrible. I missed you too. Just letting you know I'm back in rare form. I don't know if my listeners will be able to hear this or not. But we'll find out. Yeah, I know, and I'm on the wrong phone. I got 3 phones. I never can get the right one running. All right, let's talk about some of them people that let us do this program each and every Saturday morning. And I'm gonna get me some coffee. Let some out, let some in. And then we're gonna talk about mayonnaise biscuits and jump into the home improvement. Sounds like a plan. You listen to Rick's House Saturday morning. My brother Skip is with me. All is well. Gonna rain up there, cold, cold, cold down here, 26. But 19% humidity. Don't feel that cold. All right, we'll be right back. Hang on, youngins. All right, I'm gonna mutt you. I think I can. I think I can mutt me. I don't know. I bet you can't hear me now. I bet you can hear me now. I bet you won't hear me in a second. I bet you won't hear me now. Hey, I'm back. Facebook friends, I'm back. Yeah, I just don't understand why it's not feeding in there. It should, but it won't let me change the stream over to the jack. I mean, it ought to be Facebook. It's something to do with the Talk Studio, the Melon app streaming. I don't know what it is. Oh well, we'll fool with it. You got live people today? Well, you won't during the real estate show, though, will you? All right, Facebook people, we'll get it figured out. So it's coming out of Clean Feed, and it should be going right into the Rodecaster Pro, but it's just, I don't know what it's done. I just don't know. Let's try this right fast. No? No, see? I don't know. There's a configuration. When those cats, Facebook friends, for y'all to listen to me right now, and we're glad to have you during the timeout and as our sponsors. But you can, like I said, you can go to 105 mix1055.com or talk1063.com and hear all the commercials. Our new cat got hung up in all my stuff and pulled it all off in the floor. And I wanted to kill it. And ever since that happened, I can't, it's changed something, so I'm going to have to. Now that Skip's back, he and I, like I said, Jay did a great job. But now that you're back, we'll get it figured out. I don't know if he's damaged another cord. I don't know what the little devil did. But he's just 4 months old, so, you know, he's just trying to play. He don't, you know what I mean. I may have to do it Bluetooth. I don't know. So, we'll get it. So you can hear me talking to Skip during the timeout. But you can't hear Skip. But you need to hear Skip because he's got that beautiful radio voice. Yeah, Rancho, Huevos Rancheros, haha. Heat went out in the building while you was gone. I got some guys to come up there and do it for cheap. All righty, here we go. All right, Facebook, here we go. Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome to Rick's House. Thanks for joining us on the program. Hey, your mama and them. Good to see you out. It is cold down here, youngins. I'm talking about cold. We kind of, where we're at right now, this whole area, there's mountains everywhere. But we're already at almost 5,000 foot elevation above sea level. And so it's kind of like living back home because it blocks a lot of the wind. North of us, they had 75 mile per hour winds. Yeehaw. Coming out of Oklahoma, down Tornado Alley. We had 35 mile per hour wind gusts. And if you ever want to know how much wind it takes to turn a 40 foot travel trailer that weighs 16,000 pounds over, it's 90 miles an hour. Rick, how do you know that fact? Well, the way I know that fact is because my wife said, you better find out. So I did. Because when we was out in Oregon, I'll tell you what's true, brother, I wanted to know. Mayonnaise biscuits. Growed up on them on the weekend. We made them at the house. Mama and Papa was going somewhere. There wasn't no breakfast. I had to make a mayonnaise biscuit. You ready? 2 cups of whole milk. 1 cup of mayonnaise. Good mayonnaise. None of that light stuff. I'm talking about Duke's or Hellman's. Something got a little lemon kick to it. A lot of fat in it. 4 cups of self-rising flour. Martha White or White Lily, whichever one you prefer. Now, this recipe calls for garlic powder. I haven't put no garlic powder in my biscuit. Don't want that. Teaspoon of black pepper. A little salted butter. Soften it up, and then we just took a fork and stirred it in a bowl. Now, before you do that, you got your oven preheated to 400. And put them in there till they rise and just take a spoon. Drop biscuits. Drop. Drop. Plop. Drop. They'll be light and fluffy and delicious. 2 of those and some country hams and red-eye gravy, you'll have a heart attack. That's all I'm saying. Good for you. Jason Ingollfsland, Ingollfsland. Yeah. On April the 12th of 2024, in the Family Handyman editorial section, best toilet paper to prevent clogging your plumbing. Now, people get serious about their toilet paper. Just ask our friends at Top Septic. You're kidding me. You know, that's true, though. People are funny about that. They got their brand. Toilets clog for a number of reasons, but one reason few people consider is the type of toilet paper they use. While all toilet paper dissolves eventually, the speed at which it breaks down is what matters. Slow toilet water can make a difference in dissolving the toilet paper, and it can get caught in your pipes and build up over time, creating a potential clog. If you've got old pipes, if you've got an old school toilet or a new toilet, that the throat of the toilet, and what I mean by that is the opening that goes through and makes the curve that goes through the body of the toilet itself, can be undersized. You buy one of them toilets in a box, yeah, you better not load it up on toilet paper. Where's the rest of my article? Uh-oh. Well, so this guy, what he did was he took toilet paper and he took sections of it and he put it in water, each one of them in water, and let it dissolve, and timed it to see which one would break down the fastest. And why I can't see it, I don't know. Yes, it does. Well, friends, I'll have to pull that back up because I want to name names. That's right. Let's go back to my drafts. Yeah. Well, the winner, I do remember that the winner was Scott Toilet Paper. That was the winner of the 11 he tested. It is. So, I'll see if I can't find that. Well, I'm just having all kinds of stuff going on this morning. That makes me angry. Ain't that the truth? No, there's not. Well, you know, the truth is that they have to use a big, it looks like a boat propeller on a heavy duty Milwaukee drill with a 6-foot long pole on it to bust that stuff up to get it to go before they can suck it up into the tank of the truck. Your Charmin paper took forever. And your Cottonelle and your Quilted Northern all took forever. Everspring Recycled done good. And Scott's was the, if it says double thick, quilted, and ultra soft, and them bears in the woods use it when there ain't no rabbit around. Then it don't go down good. So, you don't believe it, just go to your local sewer system or municipality. Go down on Neyland Drive where the KUB treats the sewer and look at what comes through there that don't break down. That's a bad day right there. That is a rough day for somebody. So you know, be careful what you put in there, especially if you're traveling in a travel trailer and RV. That's important. They do. You know, they didn't offer anything in this article about it. It's supposed to do a lot better, but you know, supposed to and what it does is two different things. Yeah. Well, I ain't scared. Oh, I gotta be careful right here. I get us in trouble in just a couple minutes. Just a couple minutes. Wouldn't take long at all. I was. When you open it big enough for me to walk through, then there's something. Yeah. something that can be said, that's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things I found is you can't find pallets down here. I like to repurpose and reuse stuff. And we've talked about that. And that's something that is hard to find here, is trying to find pallets. I mean, I finally found some, but they're an hour and a half away. I'm like, no, I ain't driving an hour and a half to get some free pallets. That's not going to happen. So, I won't be repurposing that. However, I am getting ready to use some more of this luxury vinyl plank that I got at Knoxville Salvage. Travel trailers, they use it's not really particle board, it's almost medium density fiber board, MDF, which is basically sawdust with some exterior glue in it. It's what they do. And then they put a little bitty, I don't even know how thin it is, but it's as thin as thin. I mean, it's hair thin. I mean, laminate over top of it. And over time, that stuff comes loose. So one of the projects I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all that off, because we've got a small countertop and it's funky shaped. I'm going to do two things. I went outside and I'm taking the outdoor kitchen out because it's got a propane gas stove in it, and we're not using that no more. And I'm actually going to put I'm going to have it done, because it's something you need to have done by a licensed professional. The line that goes back to that stove and goes to our heat up on top of our camper, when it comes out of the propane tank, it's going to have a shut off right there that's going to shut it off. Because I'm not taking a chance. I'm just not taking a chance. You get something that goes down the road and moves, I don't trust it. I took the rubber pigtails for the propane tanks, because we use propane for our gas stove in the house. We don't use the oven. We use an air fryer for that. But we use the propane for the gas, for the stovetop. And then we use propane for the on-demand hot water heater. And those are the two things that we use the gas for. Now, you've got rubber lines running to the other things in the house. And that's going to be disconnected. And even though it's 26 and it's going to be 21 in the morning, we'll be warm and toasty, because we've made the preparations for that. And I'm not going to take a chance on that gas. Now, I replaced those 20-gallon tanks with 30-pound tanks. And instead of 20-pound, I replaced them with 30-pound, because it's cheaper to fill those. And even with the 80-20 rule, it works better. And they had those rubber pigtails that go from the regulator, which sets the amount of pressure that the propane that comes into the trailer, just like it does the grill at your house or any other thing that you have. But you're going to have metal piping coming off the gas going to an HVAC unit, a gas unit at your house, and that's less likely to leak. So I took those off and I put stainless steel braided lines. This is a 2021 model, and I went out the other day and said, ooh, what is that smell? I know that smell, because I changed from one tank to the other. Now, it will automatically, the regulator in most travel trailers, when one tank goes empty, it'll automatically switch over to the other tank, as long as both valves are open. But I don't do that, because I found it's not as efficient. It tends to use more gas. I don't know why, if both of them are open. So I closed off the empty one and opened up the one that was full, and immediately got a whiff of the odor that they put into that propane, because propane, you wouldn't smell it otherwise. They have to add the smell to it. It's kind of like that Easter egg that the children missed and you found a week later out in the yard. Pretty close. Don't eat that. That'll hurt you. It will. And so one of the things I realized is that pigtails come in 12 inches, 15 inches, 19 inches, 24 inches, 48 inches, 60 inches, up to 20 feet. And I didn't realize that. And because of how tall, when I went from 20-pound tanks up to 30-pound tanks, what happened is that the 15-inch ones that I had they're making a real tight turn, and that's put pressure. Now, those tanks are locked down. They have a bar that goes between them where the handles are and rips down, and there's a big nut that you screw down, big wing nut that holds it, and that's caused one of them to leak. Well, I could probably pull that off and use Teflon tape made for gas. That's a different kind than plumbing. Made for gas. But I'm not going to take a chance on that. So I have ordered some that are 2 foot long so that they can go out and make a nice easy bend and come back in and be safe. The other thing is you have a propane tank cover on the front of the travel trailer, the recreational vehicle, that covers them. And it's got a lid on the top that you raise up and you can turn the handle. It keeps them protected from the sun. The problem with that is the jack on some travel trailers and some RVs have a problem. And that problem is this. When you try to put it on the cover, it hits the jack. Or it's so tight against the jack that you can't get it down. That's my problem. And on some vehicles, you can't let your tailgate down because it hits the jack when you're hooked to the trailer. Now, there are 3 bolts that go into threaded nut that's welded to the frame of the tongue of the trailer on most travel trailers. Well, I had to replace the jack because mine wore out. And I put an electric jack on there. Yes, sir. Ricky ain't going to crank till his arm falls off anymore. Feel like I'm turning the ice cream churn. You know what I'm saying? So I spent an extra $50 and got me an electric one. Runs off the battery. You push the little button. RET for return. EXT for extend. You stand there. It's wonderful. But what you have to do, and I didn't realize this, and this is one of the things I'm going to fix this week because I unloaded my truck and got my big box that I got at the Home Depot, or as my friend up in the country says, the Home Depot, and found my impact drill, my electric one, and my deep socket impact wrenches. So I've got my 2 stabilizers bars down on the front, which will allow me to run the jack up because that's going to hold the trailer level. Then I'll take the impact drill, I'll back those bolts out, and then where it's pointing directly at the back of my truck, the front of it, which is the longest way, I'll turn it 90 degrees sideways toward the driver's side and then put the bolts back in it. Now it's about 2.5, 3 inches shorter. There's more room when it's turned sideways for my cover to go on, and my tailgate don't hit it. That's a Rick's House tip for you. and pretty easily done at its finest. I also, on this last go around, decided that the last time we were out, I cannot tell you how many tires I purchased for this trailer. And I purchased 10 ply. It calls for 8 ply travel trailer tires, towable travel trailer tires. Well, that's the minimum. And the sidewalls on those trailer tires are thicker, but if you curb it, you'll bust a tire. So I said to my tire person, my buddy Paul at Best One Tire, down on the corner of Amherst and Middlebrook Pike, what are the available options for trailer tires my size? He said, well, we can go all the way up to a 14 ply. I said, touchdown. Sold. That's what we want. They look like tractor trailer tires. Big, heavy tread on them. Big, thick on the side. You can run over a curb or a tree or a buffalo, and you ain't gonna bust that tire. Money well spent. Now, because we're going to be in this area for some time, Brian's always asked me, when are you going to get on the road? When are you going to get on the road? Well, we are on the road. We're just stationary, but we're going city to 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 city. Hey. Because there's a lot to see, and we want to see it all. So when you do that, you need to roll your tires up on to level it left and right. I rolled mine up on some 2x6s, get them off the ground. That keeps them from getting a flat spot in them. And the next thing I've got to do is I've got to order some tire covers that stops them from dry rotting, getting baked by the sun. Those two things don't sound like much, but it's very important. So I have also learned this past week, I am not mechanical. I can tell you about most things about your house, and if I can't, I know somebody that can. But the long and the short of it is, I'm learning. Because that you can put money in your pocket from very simple things like that, and save yourself a lot of time and trouble, and it's a whole lot easier to level the trailer that way. So those are some of the things that we've been working on while we're stationary. Interesting, I've got some pictures. I've finally taken some pictures of some of the things that we're seeing. Coming home this past week, a whole family of deer. Just this guy's yard. 8-point buck, doe, 2 little fawns. Looked over at us like, we safe. I said, you just think you're safe because you're eating sage, and I like sage. Sage makes you taste good. Let them children get a little older and we'll see how safe you are. That's awful. Why do you make me talk like that? I don't understand. So it's the little things. Now back to the countertop. I'm going to pull that laminate off before I put that LVP luxury vinyl plank that I got from Knoxville Salvage. But I'm going to seal that MDF / particle board underneath, just in case something leaks. And so the question is how much heat will that luxury vinyl plank withstand? Because it's going to be next to the stove and some other things. One of the things that happens, especially in a travel trailer, and this will happen in your house too, we have a sink that mounts underneath the countertop. So the countertop goes over the edge of the sink. It's not one of those where the metals, you don't see the metal. It goes up underneath, mounts under the countertop. And if you go underneath and look at it, there are metal clips that hold the sink flange up against the underneath side of the countertop itself. Notice that the sink was leaning a little. So I opened up the outdoor kitchen, it's got a slide on it, it's got a refrigerator in there, so I slid that out, slid the 2-burner stove out to look at, and got all that outside, and looked at those brackets in that corner, and lo and behold, they've rusted. So when I redo the countertop, I will replace those brackets that hold the sink up against the countertop, so that it doesn't fall. Now I went ahead and cut a wooden shim to make sure it wouldn't fall until I can get those in and take the sink out and redo the countertop. So it's those little things that you got to do. You know, it's the little maintenance things that make it last longer, and you have to be careful about that. Now, I had an experience this week that I'm going to share, and this is my opinion, and I'm going to share it because it's my opinion. Oh, yeah. Don't burn them mayonnaise biscuits you got in that little toaster oven in there. You think I don't know. You ain't going to eat no fried bologna, but you eat a biscuit. You got to be tired and hungry. You got to be tired and hungry. But you will eat a biscuit. Well, good morning, Henry. Good to see you in here this morning. Appreciate you joining us on the program. We're going to take a short time out to hear from some of those folks that bring you the program. When we come back, we're going to jump back into more home improvement. I'm going to tell you something you can look for shelving that I actually utilized this week. That they told me at the lumberyard they didn't have. But then I got to the right person who knew that they did. They just wasn't punching it in the computer right. So we're going to talk about that and how well that works. It's Rick's house. It's Saturday morning. The coffee's hot. The biscuits are cooking at the Mix 105.5 studios and the Talk 106.3 studios. The Skip Meister is in charge of the mayonnaise biscuits this morning. We'll be right back, y'all. Henry, good morning. You're not going to hear our commercials this morning. We have had a cord malfunction that feeds the audio to the book face, as we call it. So while they're hearing the sponsors to this program, you'll hear me just jabbering a little bit, and you won't hear my producer this morning. We will figure that out and make that happen. So good morning. Apologize for the inconvenience, but that's live radio and podcasting, and sometimes that happens. So we'll make that correction and be ready to go next week. If you buy a cord, buy two. Right, Skip? That's right. Which we bought two and then realized that we needed an adapter that was wrong. So that's all part of that. So during the time out, you're just hearing me jabbering about home improvement and all the stuff we're doing. Sunrise coming up this morning here, Skip and Facebook friends. Nice and chilly at 26 this morning. It'll be 21 in the morning. High today is in the 40s. So a little bit different. So bear with me for a couple of minutes, and then we'll go back on the program, and I apologize again. Now, if you'd like to hear the audio, if you're listening to me on Facebook, we call it Bookface. If you're listening to me on that and you'd like to hear the full audio, you can go to mixx1055.com, mixx1055.com, or talk1063.com and click the Listen Live button, and you will get all of the broadcasting that's going across the radio in beautiful Kodak, Sevierville, Newport, Morristown, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, and Knoxville, Tennessee. So you can find us there as well. So we got that going on. So I'll take a little break during the timeout so you get to see what it's like behind the scenes. You just can't hear my brother talking to me in my ear. Because Facebook friends will tell you the truth, our new cat, who's 4 months old, got his toe hung up in my cord and pulled all my stuff out of my studio, which made me very unhappy. But you know, hey, that kind of stuff happens. I'm going to send you what my wife fed me for supper last night that she made home in the store here, Facebook friends. And we'll tell this on the air too. But in the store here, when you walk in, and it's a Lowe's supermarket, not Lowe's Building Supply, but Lowe's supermarket. When you go in, they have a deli area, and they got the basics, you know, chicken fried steak, fish, chicken, you know, mashed taters, green beans, all that kind of stuff. They also make homemade, everyday fresh flour tortillas, burrito size and taco size. Yes, sir. Skip, I just sent you what I ate for supper last night. Now that is a homemade burrito with homemade fire roasted tomato burrito sauce, avocado, cilantro, and green onion chopped up on top, with quesadilla queso cheese. And I went healthy and did turkey. Yes, sir. Does that look delicious? Took me 3 seconds to eat it. It did. Oh, and I'm going to send you some more stuff. Let's see. There's our little killer. And there he is looking out the window behind my studio. Hang on. Yeah. Oh, man. That's right. I know that's right. I just sent you some more stuff. Oh, I bet. I think that all went through. All right, friends, for those of y'all watching us on Facebook, there's the culprit right there that tore my studio up. That's Boho, Bohemian Bandit. And here's Brian Ekdahl. Their supper last night. Yes, sir. Oh, she on Facebook. Dude, that was delicious. Here we go. Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to Rick's House. Thanks for joining us on the program. Those of you joining us on Facebook, you can go to mix1055.com for full audio or talk1063.com. And there you will find the commercials and the other things. Otherwise, you will hear me on Bookface during the timeout, sharing a few pictures and talking. You'll also be able to hear my fantastic producer, Jay. It's because it says Jay on the phone. Skip, the master, I apologize. I grovel at your feet, sir. So I went into Building Supply, and I needed a shelving board to put behind my desk so the cats could look out the window. They're running me crazy. And I got to have a ledge, you know. So I asked Matthew down at McCoy Building Supply, I said, what's a 1x12 8 cost me? $23. I said, okay. Told him what I was going to do. He said, oh. He said, now we can do that in MDF with the bullnose on it. And you know what bullnose is? That's where it's rounded on one side. And a 1x12 for $13.97. I said, so I'll take one. And then I asked him about some other stuff that we're going to talk about here shortly about plumbing. And I said, I'll be down a little while. He said, all right, come on down, we'll get it fixed. I said, I'll take me a measurement because they got one in great old big table saws that's like they have in Home Depot and Lowe's that's vertical. It's just so much easier to cut. So I got my measurement, and so it's about lunchtime when I went there. Well, I saw him coming out of the building. Well, he's going to lunch. Well, he didn't see me. I wasn't driving my truck. I was driving the car. And so I thought, I'm not going to bother him. Everybody gets to eat lunch. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to bother him, man, because he would have come back in and stayed and helped me. And I knew I was going to be there probably an hour and a half getting everything I needed. So I thought, well, I'll just see him when I get back. So I had a new young man in there. And he was helping me. And then they had another guy that knows his stuff, has been there for a while. And he was helping me, but he was helping other customers too. So we got down there, and he said, well, is that everything? And I'll tell you what the other stuff was we bought with the plumbing stuff. And he said, I said, well, I need a 1x12. He said, we don't have that. He said, it's in 4x8 sheets. I said, 4x8 sheets? I said, well, how much is that? And it was like $60. Well, I just need one piece. I ain't going to do that. He's trying to get my burrito money. You know what I'm saying? I said, that's a negative, Ghost Rider. That ain't going to happen. Be forcing me to eat enchiladas. Speedy Gonzales. $6.95. They make you special hot sauce. You know, I thought that the heat of a jalapeno pepper was in the seeds. No, it's in the spline thing. That's where the heat is. Boy, howdy. I'm going to tell you a story about that in a minute. I got lots of stories. Lots of things to tell my brother. I missed him. He took off and went to the beach with a bunch of people. Soggy and around. It's good to be soggy. That's a little inside joke here on the program this morning. No, I like that. That's even better. So about that time Matthew come in, I said, they say they ain't got that at 1 to 12. He goes, Maurice, the guy's name was Maurice, young man, just finished up playing football. Big old Hispanic young man with offensive lineman. Chest looked like he's 4 foot deep. Looked like a Sasquatch. Handsome, but looked like a Sasquatch. And I immediately went back to my days of playing football and thought, oh my God, I'd hate to get hit by that. Knock me colder than a cucumber. They growing bigger now. But anyway, he said, top end, he said, you looking for that bull nose? He goes, oh, well, there it is. He said, you got your measurement? I said, does a fat baby like a clean diaper? He said, I'd say so. I said, okay. Yes, he does. So he went back there and cut me one. And what that is, you know, they carry 1 to 12 a lot of time for skirt boards that go down the side of your stairs. But they had ordered these with a bullnose on, which is a rounded top. And so they had that, which looks great for what I wanted because it gives me a flat edge to go against the 4 foot wide, 3 foot tall window. And it gives me a bullnose edge that you see, so it looks nice and finished for the little kitty cats. The demon cats. I wonder if that red dot means that's why I ain't getting no audio to the book face. Probably does. We'll figure that out later. Mash this button and see what happens, Ricky. You got $5,000 worth of equipment here. You'd think you could get sound of the book face. So anyway, so he cut it. And then I was trying to figure out, we decided after being on the road for a short period of time that going to the laundromat was not conducive to our way of life. That takes a lot of time. And that is not cheap. And you don't know whose dirt you're washing your stuff in. That don't work for Ricky. So, we, as I told many a time, we searched and looked at the reviews and bought a portable washer and dryer. 110, 120 volt washer, dryer, and one of those portable washers that you hook up to the kitchen sink. Works great. Actually works better. The unit that I have a total of $600 in works better than the $4,000 set that I had in a house back in Tennessee. Cleans better, works better, knock on wood, no problems. So when we tore the dining area out of our slide and the 2 couches, and I put the studio on one side and we made storage on the other with additional cabinets, and in the dining room area, we made an area for the washer and dryer. So one of the things I've done is I have vented the dryer through the floor of the slide but I've made the vent flush with the bottom of the slide so that if I need to run it in, I can run it in and it doesn't hit. We do that by utilizing it's flush, so it's not going to hit anyway, and then we use these super slides, which are not the size of the slides, but they are about 4 foot long, and they're hard plastic, and they have a 45, about a 22.5 degree cut on either end, and you slide those up under your slide so that when the slide comes in, it automatically tilts up. It jumps up on top of those, and the rubber on the bottom so it doesn't scratch your floor, because we put new floor down. So the next project is to hook up the washer and dryer. The washer. So the dryers are good to go. Run a separate line for it, separate power, all that stuff. And we've got the dryer, the washer, and the air fryer. Now you can't run all three of them together, but you can run the washer and the dryer, or you can run the air fryer. Called my buddy Don at Ace Electric Company, and he told us what to do. So that's what we did. Now that has a drain hose, the washer does, like in all apartment ones do, and it's developed a little leak in it, so it was time to do anyway. So I cut that off, and I made a hole in the floor that goes down, and it's right over top of where my hose is for my black water tank. So I realized that I had what they call a turbo blaster for your gray water and your black water pipe. And this is a clear fitting that you put on where your dump valves are, and then you attach your sewer hose to it, and then it has a place with an on-off shut-off to put your garden hose in, so that once you drain your black tank, you can then, with the hose on, turn the lever on and fill the black tank back up and blast it with that water pressure, and then turn it off and let it drain again until you get it clear. Well, I was at a place where I didn't have a pressure reducing valve, which was my mistake when I very first started, and it blowed the gasket out of that on-off valve. Well, those things are about, that whole unit is about $30. So I said, I'm not going to throw that away. I will find a use for it, because I am a proud hoarder. And I knew I'd find a use for it. Now, that's been 4 years ago. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, got the power figured out. I've got to figure out how to get hot water and cold water over to the washer. So I got to think about that. Then I've also got to figure out how to drain it into that pipe down into the sewer. Then it hit me. I've got a fitting that's got the guts blowed out of it that fits a garden hose. So I was going to do it today, but it's too cold. So I'm going to cut the drain. I cut the hose off, and we'll run it through the floor, make a connection there with the garden hose, because it's only draining water. Hook it to the other end of that where I blow the gasket out, and it'll go right in the sewer. And I'll put pipe insulation on it. Task complete. Now I've got to get water. Underneath my travel trailer where my black tank is and my water storage tank for fresh water when I'm on the road, we busted the tank when it was -8 in Oregon. And so we've insulated all that, and I haven't put the covering back up under it because I can't crawl up underneath there and do that, and I got to find somebody that will. And I'm going to replace that with an insulated board to add additional insulation. We talked about this last week. We're going to not use the foam like a cooler. We're going to use the polystyrene, which the pink or blue board that you see, because it'll withstand the road, and I can use flat fender washers and attach it. And then if I ever need to access those panels, we can back those off and access whatever we need and put it right back up there. Because now it has a corrugated material like you see for real estate signs, election signs, yard sale signs, that kind of stuff. And it's just a pain, and that comes in a big roll 8 foot wide, and it's a pain to deal with, and I ain't fooling with that. So I began to look and try to figure out. Now, my travel trailer has PEX piping in it. And most travel trailers have PEX piping in them now. They had CPVC in them, used to, which is kind of like wet toilet paper or cold coffee. It'll get the job done, but you ain't going to be happy about it. So I wanted to use PEX because I could run PEX, but there's two kinds. You can buy it in lengths. You can buy it in 4 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot, 20 foot, or you can buy a flexible roll that's 100 foot. Well, I need a red for hot and a blue for cold, and about 16 feet each one. Well, I'm not going to buy a 100-foot roll. So I asked my guys at McCoy's Building Supply, I said, what are we going to do here? He said, well, if it was me, he said, you got CPVC. I said, no, just take that idea and throw it in the trash because we ain't doing that. I don't like it. I need something a little more stable than that. He said, or we can use Schedule 40 PVC. I said, now you're talking. We're getting somewhere. Or he said, you can go to True Value Hardware down the road. He said, because they keep smaller, they cut it out, they'll cut it for you, and they have smaller rolls. And there's no sense in you buying a 100-foot roll from me if you want to do PEX, when you can buy a 20-foot roll and save yourself a bunch of money, which I really appreciated. He didn't have to tell me that. That's why I say, if you ask questions, you'll get answers. Never be afraid to ask that question. There is no stupid question. The stupid question is the one you don't ask. Preach it, Rick. The sweat's going to hit the socks. And those of you on Facebook getting ready to see me take my cane that I have to have and open this curtain up so I can see outside. Because the sun's coming up and it's a balmy 30 degrees. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I think I open this side curtain and let that sun in. Let the sunshine in, let the sunshine in. There is a song that I heard on the local radio station here, which covers this entire area, and it's a family-owned business. Super nice folks, about our age, maybe just a little older. Oh, the Hussifer, I've opened a new window, then the boho is fly hunting. So anyway, so I got to thinking about that, and I said, well, the PEX sounds good. I said, but, you know, I got to figure out how I'm going to attach it. Well, then I realized that I have 2 outside showers on my travel trailer. One beside the water heater on the same side, which my wife likes to use in the summertime, and I do just to rinse off, you know, knock the dust off before you go in the house. So I thought I could pull that faucet. It's going to be hard to drill to because I'm going to have to open the water heater and pull that out of the way and then put all that back together, and it's a shorter run, but that's not working for me. Excuse me a second. That's better. It is a cough button. I just found that out. Talk about radio professionalism at its finest. I ain't no rookie. No, sir. Ain't my first rodeo on the book face. Now, those old people on book face, I didn't have time to mute that too. So they heard it. Excuse me. Bless you. So anyway, so, you know, I'm taking that outdoor kitchen out. So I went around there to look, and I'll be doggone frank, got an outdoor shower there too. Because the outdoor kitchen's got a stove, and then it had a little plastic sink in there until I left the door unlocked, and it flew up in the plastic sink that weighs 6 ounces. The wind caught it and blowed it to the other side of the whatever state we was in. And I didn't realize it until I made my next stop. Well, I'm taking that out anyway because I've got another use for it. And there's a shower there so that you could use if you needed to, you know, rinse something off. Maybe you're doing fish or chicken and you need to rinse it off, or rinse a dish, or, you know, a utensil or something like that. And it's the exact same faucet we have in our shower. Well, I thought the easy thing to do would be to run one line, but then you'd have to leave it on, and you'd have to have it mixed on hot and cold. And if I did that, that would make the gas propane run on the continuous use on demand hot water heater. So that's not going to work. So I've got to run one hot and one cold. Well, it comes in above that shower, and there is a connection there because we have one of those pan faucets, you know, that's got like the spring on it. It's got one lever, and it comes out, and then it goes into a nipple that goes into a PEX fitting that's clamped onto the PEX. I said, I can put a T right there and then go straight down, make a 90, or just bend the PEX, go diagonally across the 8-foot width of the camper bottom, poke it up in the slide, and touchdown, go Vols, roll tide, war eagle. Go Highlanders. Go Pigeon Forge. Go Smoky Bears. Eagles. So anyway, I thought, well, that's the ticket. That's what I'm going to do. Then I can make a disconnect, so I can disconnect it if I have to run the slide in and take that little section out, which is fine. So I'm all set to go. Then I start looking at the fittings for PEX, and then it dawned on me. I remember when PEX first came out, all the plumbers hated it. And the reason they hated it is because you have to have a specialty tool to crimp those fittings on. Now, they were really, really expensive, and if you're a commercial plumber, they're still expensive. But for a do-it-yourselfer like me, I'm not spending $80 on a tool that I'm going to use to make 4 connections and never touch again. You know what I'm saying? That's not working for Ricky. So the other alternative is to use SharkBite fittings, but they don't have SharkBite fittings in some of the fittings that I need. And a SharkBite, GatorBite, whatever time bite fitting that you need, which are removable, which makes it handy because you can undo something if you need to, but they're expensive. So the end result was we're going with Schedule 40 PVC. Now, I can't get underneath this trailer because of my mobility issues. But I know how to measure. So I bought my pipes, bought my couplings, bought my T's, bought my 90s, bought me two shut-off ball valves so that where that pipe comes in and it's inside of that insulated space, when it gets 20, I can walk out there and open that door and shut them valves off, and and drain the water out of them pipes so they don't freeze. I also bought me some pipe insulation. You know, the gray kind that looks like a pool noodle. So my project for today, unless I decide it's too cold, and right now it's too cold, I will go ahead and build it. I've already, while I was sitting in here in the heat, I've already put my ball valve, my key, the nipples, Teflon tape, all that's ready to go. I've put the faucets that go up behind the washer, all that's ready to go. All I got to do is put the pipe in between, which is 4 verticals going down and 2 horizontals going across. Well, I will go ahead and put my verticals down through the floor, and then I'll go ahead and put my pipe insulation on my pipe after I put it together. So when I slide it under there and I push one end up and stick it up there, then I go to the other end and stick it up there, it's mounted inside, I'm done and insulated, and I never walked under the trailer. Now, does that mean I'm a genius? No. It means I'm old and broke down and can't get my big hind end under there. So, as my granddaddy said, Skip, you got to work harder, you got to work smarter, not harder. Brian said, how much weight have you lost? Brian, I don't know. I go to the doctor on the 19th, and I'll be able to tell you if it's over 200 pounds. So, I have. I caught that sucker up, I ate. I show people a picture of me, back in the day, and they go, who's that? And I say, that's my brother. Well, I ain't never heard you talk about him. That's because I ate him. That's awful. That's terrible, Ricky. Oh, I got to stand for a second. Oh. It's a good thing I got my winter shorts on. Those are below the knee. I look like I got capris on. Gauchos. Styling and profiling. Oh yeah, absolutely. So we've got that going on. So that's the other thing that we're doing, and then that allows us to not have to hook that up because it's in the way. When you pull the washer over, it's in the way of the sink, and it's not hard to do. But my wife, she really likes to cook. I like her to cook because she's a great cook, and I like to cook. So we were out traveling what they call the Tri-City Triangle here in West Texas, and we went to a little town called Marfa, Marfa. Now, in Marfa, they have the Marfa Lights, which are very similar to they're kind of like the Northern Lights, but they're not that dramatic. They're kind of like orbs, and they can't explain them. They don't know what causes it. And so they've got observatories over there with microscopes, telescopes, that you can go look at it and see and do all that. Yeah, get that microscope out, look at that light out there, them Marfa lights, it's the Martians coming down here. Get out of there, cat. If you pull that off, You just think your sister got a hold of you. Boy, she is hissing this morning, Daddy. She made a growl sound like something out of Africa. Some big lion. But anyway. And on the way back, it's a little town, and we stopped. There was a place that we'd heard about called Angels. That's a Mexican place, believe it or not. Because I can eat that every day. Yeah, every day. So we stop in there, and they have outside seating, but they have about 6 tables inside, and we're in there talking to them. It's a man and wife, and they got some folks that work for them, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's just absolutely wonderful. And so I was talking to the gentleman there, and he said, we had Chris Stapleton in here a couple months ago. I said, really? Yeah, he said he had Josh Brolin with him. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, we didn't know who Josh Brolin was, so we didn't get his autograph. He said, but he's from California. He asked me who my ball team is. You Tennessee ball? I said, yeah. I said, yeah, but I got my teams down here. He said, not me. I pull for Notre Dame. I said, okay. Somebody, touchdown Jesus, baby. Gotta love it. And so anyway, so we're talking back and forth, and he's telling us the story, and he said that Chris Stapleton came in, and he had a bag with him, and he said, I'm Chris, and he said, and I recognize him because he said, I like his music. And he was shooting a video down there. There's a little bar across the street, and they're shooting a video, and Josh Brolin's in it with him. He said, then in a little bit, Josh Brolin came in. He says, hey, I'm Josh. He said, hey. He said, I didn't know who he was. He said, I just thought he was a friend of his, He said, he was just brutally honest, He said, so we fed them, and he said, we closed it down so they could just eat, not be bothered. And he said, when he got done, he said, he reached in this bag and pulled out some kind of special bourbon and said, that's a little extra for you. I didn't ask him how much he tipped, but obviously if you close your whole restaurant down, it was good. But he said it was super nice, really nice and all that. But these people are buying ranches down here because the property's so cheap. Celebrities hunting places to get away. So that was kind of interesting. Well, while we were in there was 3 state troopers that come in, Texas state troopers. And so we'd been talking, and another person come in from upstate New York that had moved down there, and everybody, that's where they eat. And he talks to everybody, it's a mom and pop place. He come in, and I said, his name's Daniel. I said, Daniel, how far is it back over to where we're going? He said, oh, it ain't far. He said, it's about 25, 30 minutes. He said, but all 3 of the policemen that work this there are sitting right there at that table. You can speed if you want to. We're literally sitting they're the next table, and then he's at the next table. And they looked at me, and I looked at them, and they looked over at him because they eat in there all the time. I said, Daniel, he said, what? I said, you can't outrun them radios. He said, that's all right. I keep them here a while. He said, they're hungry. I swear to you, we got in the car and we're headed back through there. Well, there's no, you're out in the middle of the desert. So very rarely do you see a sign. So I don't know what the speed limit is. I'm just doing my thing. I have no idea what the speed limit is. We're traveling. We're in towns we don't know. And we were going to another town we didn't know. And so I'm running 60. Well, there was a car come past me with 2 suitcases on the roof with no bag or nothing on it, running through the desert. I'm thinking, cloth suitcases. Like if you pull in the airport with the wheels on it, I think, boy, I'd say you're going to have some dirty drawers in there. So that dust will go through that zipper. So anyway, they go past and flying. Well, I see a speed limit sign. It's 70. So in Texas, the speed limit would either be 60, 65, 70, 75, or 80. You can roll. About 5 minutes later, here comes all 3 of them troopers right up on my tail. Well, they have passing lanes, so it's 2 lane, then you get over in the passing lane, they come around me, and cause like I said, I wasn't sure what the speed limit was. We go about 3 miles down the road, Guess who they had sitting on the side of the road? Suitcase people. Yeah, I just waved as I went by. So adventures from the road on Rick's house this morning. Where has the time went? It's went by very fast today. Y'all are getting blistered up there, aren't you? Well, at least it's warm. Yeah. I don't know what it is here, but it's cold. The sun, she says, shining. I know, that's right. Well, coming up in the next few weeks on the program, my friend Dean's going to be joining us from GFL and updating us on some new stuff that they got going on. Appreciate y'all doing business with him. He's pleased, I'm pleased, and they do a great job. It's a fantastic job. Also, our buddy Evan from Permachink's going to be coming in. Talked to him yesterday. He's going to come in and sit in and talk about some new products that they've got coming out. And I'm working on some new stuff. There's really a lot of science that goes into that. I mean, you really do. There's a lot of science. Now, while I'm sitting here talking to you, my guy that was helping me, I had a USB connector on the wall. And it went bad, so I took it loose. And I ordered a new one. And there was a hole with the two wires sticking out. Well, we put faux leather, looks really nice, you can't tell it's not real leather, around my desk. Well, this has got a embossed pattern in it. Well, my wires are back there somewhere. He didn't poke it through. Yeah. So my USB connector has come in, wall outlet, and while I was sitting here talking, these people on Facebook going, what's he doing? So I thought, well, I'll just run my hand across that and fill the hole. Oh, no. Now, if I make a big old hole looking for that, death will come to me with a quickness. Yes. I'll be like that cat just knocked the lid over from under my feet. Did you hear it? Little Damon. We shouldn't, I told Amy, I said we shouldn't named him Blackjack. Because he's completely black. But now when you look at him in light, he's got, well, you saw him, he's got stripes. But they're black too. But he's a good boy. He's learning, bless it. He ain't had no teacher. But Dixie's teaching him. Gypsy, I mean. Well, another one in the books. I'm so glad to have you back, sir. Tell them what's coming up next on. Absolutely. Well, you know, I was looking at the news, and they said that East Tennessee is really having a hard time with that flu. Well, I'm going to tell you, our good friend Dean had the same thing, and he was one of 16 people that had it. Mm-hmm. He's better now, but it was a strain they'd never seen before. So you gotta be careful. Yeah, you like it spicy? Yeah, I'll make a special for you. Yeah, it's been tough. It sure has. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Be a good contest. Um, and as we prepare for the national championship in a couple weeks. Yes, it will. Well, as always, you can reach me during the week at rickshouseradio@gmail.com. Stay tuned for more guests coming your way. For those of you on Facebook, thanks for listening in today. And we'll continue to figure out what's going on with our audio and make that right. As always, put your hands around them babies if they'll let you. Love them, kiss them. Thank somebody that does something for you or does it just because they should. And we'll see you next week right here on Rick's House. Thank you, Brother Skip. God bless you. Good deal.